I think we're good to start.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. One second. Okay. Let's start today on our webinar. Today's agenda is rethinking education for the new year on educations, right? The agenda is introduction to Compulink, introduction to Freshwork client testimonial, top challenges faced by higher education service management, Freshservice product demonstration, and we're going to have Q&A. We're going to talk a bit about who is Compulink. And my name is Denise Arboleda. I'm Vice President of Sales at Compulink Technology. Compulink is an IT vendor, reseller focused in the government and education. We have been in business for over 30 years and completed thousands of successful projects in our sector. And more than anything, right, we are a problem solver. We have been proven to be agile, adaptable, and understand the client pain point in order for us to deliver the best solution. Which brings us today, we're here to talk about Freshservice. Freshservice is a top-notch ITSM solution that is perfect for education institutions. I am going to pass the floor to PG and let her tell you more about our solution today. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Denise. Josh, could you move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, the next one. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. This is PG here, and I am from the partnership side at Freshworks. I'll be taking over the next couple of slides on a quick overview of the company. So Freshworks is an intelligent customer engagement software company, and our primary vision is to enable businesses of all sizes to win customers for life. Our entire premise is that every product that we have in our suite is primarily to win the clients of their customers. So that's our goal. Moving on to the next slide. As a company, we were founded in 2010, and we've had a pretty great growth since the time we started. So as a company, we are making an annual recurring revenue of $300 million. And we're growing at a 40% year-on-year growth, which is pretty tremendous for the size of company that we are and from the time we started off. We are global, so we have offices in around 12 countries, and we have over 3,500 employees worldwide, which also kind of reinforces the fact that as a product, we scale really well, and we also have customers of all sizes. So as a customer base, we have over 50,000 clients worldwide who are trusting Freshworks and work closely with us. And as a continuation to that, we also have one of our customers from Eastern Washington University, Brad Christ. He is the AVP and CIO of the Eastern Washington University. So he's here to kind of share his experience in associating with Freshworks and also how they use Freshservice for their everyday IT operations. So I'll pass it over to Brad.
Thank you so much. Just to give you a little background on Eastern Washington University, we're a regional comprehensive university of about 13,000 students, providing everything from associate's degrees up through master's and selected doctorates in health sciences. Our environment before we started with Freshservice, I actually came to Eastern Washington University about 3 years ago. When I got here, we were actually using two separate ITSM systems. So The legacy system at the time was Web Help Desk. It was an older version of Web Help Desk running on premises, and they had been using it for incident management, change management, and other pieces. But then they had transitioned partially to ServiceNow. And after several attempts to work with partners to implement ServiceNow, they ended up doing a self-deployment of incident management in ServiceNow, but had struggled with the other pieces of ServiceNow. And if you're familiar with that product, it's a little bit like a box of Legos. You have to build something out of it. And there just wasn't the resources or staff time really to make it a success. And so it just was a situation where at that point, many of the staff actively avoided using ServiceNow. They didn't actually mind Web Help Desk, but it was running on an older version of Oracle, was very slow, would lock up, and had a lot of other kind of issues, and and as well as was kind of out of date. So the knowledge base, even some of the change management pieces. So when I came into the environment, what I did is I spoke to all of the staff. I surveyed them, I talked with them. What should we do? Should we try to resurrect? Should we try to complete the implementation of ServiceNow? Should we try to do something else? Should we, we resurrect Web Help Desk? And the conclusion was we needed to do something else. We didn't have the staff to dedicate to running the application. We needed something that was hosted, that was software as a service, and would be easy for us to configure and use, as well as expand our use and grow with it. So we didn't want to just look at help desk solutions. We wanted to look at a full ITSM solution. So we included Freshservice along with a number of other leading products in the marketplace, and then did a comprehensive review. And for me, it was important for the staff to be able to log in, give it a try, and see how it was going to work for them before we actually purchase something. And that was really a great advantage for Freshservice, and allowed the staff to take a look and tinker with it and see, yeah, this is something that they're going to be able to use. So after we did our comprehensive review, we set up our trial for Freshservice. I handed it over to the help desk and one of our web developers, and they had it reskinned in less than a day. And so they had the basics set up in just a couple of days in terms of actually being able to use it to do the work. And so when I asked my staff, well, what should we do? Which product should we pick? It was unanimous. They all thought that Freshservice was the best product and that it would be, it would be usable. So for us, what kind of challenges did this solve? It, really made us much more efficient, as well as, frankly, the IT staff started using the product. What had happened in the environment previously was that people were just doing support over email. So we know that everybody struggles with that on help desks. People will just email the last person that helped them. And so this allowed us to capture that in a much better way, through the integrations, with Office, as well as many of the other products that we use, which has really been a great advantage for us for Freshservice. There's so many different, apps that tie in, whether it's Zoom or, originally Skype for Business, Slack, all of those other kind of different pieces. And so that made it really, really nice for us to be able to use and really push our staff to use it to track their work, rather than kind of, keeping it outside of the system, so that we have visibility, as well as, makes it much easier to transfer. What we were having is tickets and issues getting lost. They would get reported to somebody, but then it wasn't really possible to pass it all along to other staff. So that made a huge difference for us. And in terms of, it expanded our reach and, client support. So soon after we made the change, our clients let us know that it was a much easier system for them to use, and that they, that they actually liked it. And so we got a lot more submission of tickets through the support portal than we were initially expecting, and that has continued to grow. Another advantage for us was, in our old systems, we had no real SLA, so we established one, and so we were able to easily implement that and then change and adapt, by group, those SLAs. And so, an initial mistake that we made, and that was on us, not on advice that we got from Freshservice, was to apply a single SLA, and we ended up having to make changes. But that really speaks to the flexibility of the solution and our ability to quickly make that change and we didn't need any expert assistance. We didn't need to, spend weeks debating this. This was a change that we could make in a day, made by, our client services manager, and it was done. It was easy as that. Other things that we've really taken advantage of or challenges really were around the workflow, service catalog, and project management. The workflow has been great in terms of being able to automate when tickets do come in, where they get assigned, which department or which group they get assigned to. But then also, as our use of Freshservice has matured and become more comprehensive, we've been able to develop much more sophisticated workflows. So for instance, we've started implementing and have implemented a number of requests for access to various systems. And so now we can manage all those approvals right through the system. We're also be able to, during our transition, we were able to bring in all of our old incidents. So that was an important thing for the staff. When I asked them, they wanted the incident history. So we were able to bring that in with the service, with the assistance of Freshservice into the system. So they had that history. So we weren't giving it up from both web help desk as service and ServiceNow. And that included change management tickets. And so, one of the issues we had and why we were using two systems at the time, previous to Freshservice was, we weren't able to get it running in ServiceNow. We were able to get that up and super easy in Freshservice to get change management. And so we were able to reach out to our partners, explain the process to them, and it was very intuitive. Oh, they're getting an email, they're able to review the change, and they're then able to approve it. So we were getting that visibility, we were getting that buy-in from the campus. The service catalog, the way that the service catalog was organized, had been a point of contention in the previous services, because they had talked about things like, well, do we list Active Directory? Well, the model in Freshservice was, this is something that you request. So does somebody request Active Directory? No, they don't. They request an account, or they request a license, or they request a piece of hardware. They request something, and it's really from the perspective of the client, which I think is the important piece. This certainly makes it easier for us to manage, and we want people to use them, but at the same time, we don't want to make it overly complicated. And we want to make sure that it's serving the needs and is straightforward, intuitive. And so we were been able to build out our service catalog, starting with just a few things when we made our transition, because we weren't coming from a very sophisticated environment in terms of, we had an extensive service catalog and all of these pieces built out. We didn't. We were able to quickly go ahead and start building those things, in the system. And again, we don't have any dedicated staff to do that. This can be managed by our help desk. It can be managed by some of our groups in the department, because it's super easy, to use the forms engine, to use workflow, to go ahead and create this and route these service requests and even do the approvals. And so that solution has just continued to grow in terms of what we've been able to do, as well as the capabilities included in Freshservice. And then finally, when we took a look at project management, it was good for IT staff. It's not a, there's changes and new features coming, which I'll get to in a second, that we're excited about. But in terms of just what was included was good enough for us when it came to IT staff. So, that's for the group of people for whom, they're not professional project managers. What they just need to be able to do is track tasks, track projects at a very basic level. And that was great. And so that was the extent that those staff wanted to engage in a project management. So, they have to manage in terms of, let's say there's an update to a server or an update to something in AWS. They can quickly generate a project, go ahead and assign tasks, keep track of it that way, check off those tasks, and you're done. It's not like when you open up Microsoft Project for the first time, you open up, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a ton of work. This is more work than the project is. And so that's where the project module for us really kind of fit in. So what are we looking forward to? What's the future for Freshservice at Eastern? And that really is, one is about expansion. So you can see on the slide, it's talking about institutional research, our registrar's office, and academic advising. They all recently have come on board in terms of using our service desk. They each had an individual need in terms of, they had approached us and said, oh, hey, how can we do, we need to be able to track requests and go ahead and answer. And so, the first one was institutional research. Very similar work that they do with, and we often share work. So that was an easy fit to bring them on. then later on, it became more about some student-oriented services. So like the registrar's office or our academic advising department. And so they now, with software as a service, those offices are taking on more what might have been a traditional IT role in terms of access to systems, or more or less kind of serving as the administrators for a system. So our academic advising uses a product called EAB Navigate, which is a system for scheduling advising appointments, as well as for students for devising their academic schedule, and doing all of those various kind of different pieces. And there are things that office handles in terms of access and account issues that are not related to passwords, but functionality and really kind of a functional perspective. So again, that was an easy fit to bring them in, because again, that work is often shared. If it becomes a technical issue, that's where we need to intervene. And then most recently, our registrar's office, they approached us, and when they just started describing what they wanted, it was not something that we wanted to build when we have a product, as well as some available licenses, and then we've brought them on board, and now they are figuring out how to use that system to begin managing their work, and really kind of keeping track of all of these issues that, when many of us started in IT, were handled in email, and you might have had a shared email address. And now we have other student and other offices around campus figuring out that no longer works, that they need much more capabilities than offered by a shared mailbox. Other ways that we're looking forward to changes are really using all of the features that are available. So when we purchased Freshservice, we knew that we were not going to use all of the functionality right away, but we wanted a full ITSM solution. So as an example, we've begun rolling out the Freshservice agent to our desktops and laptops around campus to really build and have a good CMDB of all of our desktops and laptops. And so that's something that has struggled, we've struggled with in the past and historically, and this is the tool that's going to be able to allow us to keep good track of it. And so, we have leveraged some of the integrations with System Center, configuration management, as well as Jamf, but we decided, after looking at what the data was in those various systems, that we needed a system of record that was cleaner. And for us, that was really Freshservice. And then finally, we're really looking forward to some new features that are coming in an upcoming upgrade for us as we switch from our, I think, the estate plan to the pro plan, and that includes orchestration. We're really excited about the ability to connect Freshservice with our hybrid Active Directory infrastructure, so that when a service request gets approved for adding somebody with access, we can automatically just add them to the correct Active Directory group, and there's no IT intervention needed at that point. So really kind of removing us whenever possible in serving as the bottleneck. We get a request, somebody gets approval for it, then we go ahead and go in Active Directory, then we go ahead and add that person to the group, and then we let the person know that we've added them to the group. That can all be automated, which is just fantastic, and we're really looking forward to it. And the last piece is the expanded project management. And so, that really, our project managers are excited. So that our professional project managers are excited about the changes and the increased functionality that really would seemingly allow them to transition from their current tools to using that. And of course, there is significant advantage of having it in our ITSM system, so that we can tie it to assets, we can tie it to changes, we can tie it to releases, we can tie it to incidents. And so we're really excited about those changes that are coming. And I will say that we've just been really impressed with how much Freshservice has changed since we started using it 3 years ago, and where it is today. It's been made a much more of a compelling solution, and we look forward to using it for the years to come. So I think we've set aside some time for questions and answers, and so I'm happy to, throughout this presentation, answer any questions that might be out there.
So I think there might be a question coming from Zach. Do you want to speak up? I think you can go off of mute and we can field the question.
Please feel free to also put your questions in the Q&A option. So any point of time, we can take that up.
Okay, we'll also save some time at the end for questions. So let me go ahead and we'll go to the next slide here. And so, hi everyone, I'm Josh. I'm a solution engineer, and I've been working across the higher ed space within Freshservice for quite a while now. And so I'll be walking you through a few slides and then a bit of a demo of our Freshservice product so that we can really see, what we're all talking about here today. So initially, we want to begin here by trying to understand some of the top challenges that are faced by higher ed today and how Freshservice can help with that. So Freshservice is a full ITSM solution that really helps with standardizing and building a cohesive platform that can be used across the entire organization. So I know Brad was talking at the very end there about how some of the other groups within his organization are asking for access and how he can see how Freshservice can help with some of those. And so we'll get into that in a little bit. We also have full self-service layers built on top of Freshservice. And so those self-service layers are really going to be effective with the students that are coming in to campus or those that are working from home to really make sure that we're able to, allow them to find the answers however they want. And there are a lot of AI and machine learning technologies built in that can really help assist with that, as well as various channels that can be incorporated as part of the ITSM solution. So everything from a chatbot to telephony to the end user portal that all has this AI layer built in for self-service in particular. And as Brad mentioned, we do have very simple customization of the end user portal. So you do have full access to the HTML and CSS to make sure that everything's really on brand and can either replace or represent your brand however you like. And then lastly, we do have a full set of APIs as well as a marketplace that really allows the extendability of the Freshservice platform. So whether those are APIs that can be included as part of a workflow automator, part of orchestration, or leverage to create some sort of custom app that can help really make the most of the Freshservice platform and allow it to do all those various components that you're needing as part of the growing IT organization. And so how do we do this? So we really want to make it so that we're able to support all the various services that higher ed is supporting themselves. So everything from events and marketing through research, HR components, finance, procurement, and then ultimately facilities. And so with Freshservice, it's all completely configurable with a no or low code solution to make sure that we're able to route everything appropriately, give the best sort of context and capabilities to the agents, and then ultimately grow with you. And so how do we do that? Well, this is a very cluttered slide, but it's okay. Let me give you the high level overview here. So we really want to be able to support everything that you're doing from an IT standpoint with all the various touch points that might include. So from all the various components on the left-hand side here, IT support, of course, but then also through HR and facilities. We have all of those capabilities within Freshservice to really help make the IT solution do the pieces that you need and to be able to really expand as you grow and become more comfortable with Freshservice. As part of this, we do have a full management platform. So we have project management, self-service, a full service catalog, a knowledge base, as well as asset provisioning and discovery through a variety of agents, as Brad mentioned, or through a number of integrations that we have. And then we do have full support across a variety of channels, everything from phone to forms to emails to a mobile SDK to allow you to input whatever you need within, say, a mobile app that you might have, all the way through to our chat, which includes our Freddy AI to allow some easy self-service capabilities and the bot integration all throughout. And then to the technology. So we do have really strong technology in the background. Everything's built on AWS, and this gives us full ITIL alignment. We say alignment because we know that sometimes you do need to get out of the ITIL framework in order to accomplish a lot of what you need, and we fully support that. We also have the AI and machine learning layer on top of the entire platform. So this gives benefits not only to the end users, but also to the agents that are working within the platform. So we do help with automatic ticket classification. We do have bots that are available for the end user, either within the end user portal or the chat. And we also have bots that will say automatically respond to an email with appropriate knowledge base articles or suggest components for your agents to be able to better answer and be able to serve some of their requests that come through. And since we are on AWS, we can bring in a lot of the best security measures across the board, everything from PCI compliance to ISO 27001 and SOC SOC 2 type 2 compliance on top of it. Now, you might be asking yourself, how does this all come together? And that's really what we're here for, right? We build all the technology within the Freshworks ecosystem, bring it into Freshservice, but now we want to be able to see how we're actually able to utilize that. And so with that, there's a few different ways. One is we want to be able to standardize the experiences across the board. And so we make it very easy to be able to bring in this new product or expand across and make it so that your end users get a very easy and readable and usable ticket process, service catalog, and bot and any sort of other integration that they might need. The second way we do this is by self-service capabilities. So we do have proactive suggestions, a number of knowledge base article hooks, and the full Freddy bot layer, which you see on the right-hand side here, that allows you to be able to put in natural language requests and get the appropriate answers coming back, whether those are from the service catalog or tickets themselves. And we know that everything does need to be on brand. And so this is a bit of what we were speaking to, where we're able to really, we give you an end user portal that's completely usable out of the box. But if you do want to go in and customize any of it, we do have the full customization layer available to you, from the CSS to the HTML. And then on a more platform level or organizational level, we do have full access controls around it. So you are able to set up, SAML-based SSO, SAML-based authentication, SSO, or hook into, say, Azure Active Directory in order to be able to really control the access to the portal as you see it, and then provide permissions on top of those access control layers as well, so that your, say, students could get one set of knowledge base articles and your various employees or educators would get another set of knowledge base articles, to really make sure that they're getting the most out of the platform and all the most relevant information is available to them and at their fingertips. And in order to make sure that we have everything that you need, we do have a full rich set of marketplace apps. You can see some of those logos on the right side here, but then we do have the APIs available to help expand the platform as much as needed. And so you do have the ability to create custom apps or private apps that can just be serverless and just make some actions happen that you want. We also have full integration with a whole bunch of asset management components or alert management components or file management components such as Dropbox, PagerDuty, and SCCM to really make sure that we're able to, do what we need to within the platform. And then lastly, on the APIs, we do have orchestration, as Brad mentioned, and we have a bunch of available API components within our workflow automator that make it really easy to set up a no-code workflow and then kick off any sort of API calls that you might need in order to make the right actions happen across systems. And what has all this sort of done is it's really been seen by the broader market as a benefit across the board. And so we've received a number of nice awards, everything from Gartner to G2, as well as various Magic Quadrant certifications and accolades. And so our promise to you is that we will continue to create software that will make you go wow, and hopefully make any of your employees or students or educators go wow as well. So we want to do that via a variety of ways. Initially, we want to start off with our quick time to value, so it's very easy to stand up. It's also completely flexible to configure, and we leverage Indian democratic design, which, if you don't know what that is, I do suggest you you look it up on Google, and you'll see that there's a lot of really strong components about that we drive our entire business around. And you get the ecosystem. So we're constantly building out, we're investing in the product, and we're making it so that the product is able to do what you need it to do. So we really do take the feedback from everyone from Brad to our other customers and partners in order to really build out and create the best kind of product for you. And then we do have, full partnership capabilities with Compulink. So we really want to strive to be that best partner for Compulink, who will then, be your best partner as well. And now I'm actually going to back out of the slides and we'll be able to get into the product. We're going to do a quick overview. And so that we'll be able to save another 10 minutes or so at the end for some more Q&A. I know that there's a few additional questions that came in for Brad. So now what we're taking a look at is Freshservice. This is our end user portal. And this is what you get completely out of the box. I have done little to no customization on this. And it's completely usable. And this is one of the key benefits is that once you get your account provisioned, you do have full access to the platform and everything set up for you, including a highly usable end user portal. Now, the end user portal does contain a lot of strong components. So we do have full knowledge base integration. So in this case, you can go into a couple articles here and they take in full content and rich media so that you are able to make sure that anyone and everyone is able to find the answers that they want. And as part of that self-service idea, we do then provide some related articles on the right side here that will really make it so that you're able to get in and be able to promote that self-service in a variety of ways. Now going back to our homepage, we also have the ability to put in a specific ticket request. In this case, we can put in a subject, and then we can see Freddie in action again, pulling in those same related articles. And so this makes it really easy for people, for end users to get comfortable and find immediate success via the Freshservice end user portal, as you see here. Now, one of the key components to finding success and really making this easy for higher ed and really anyone to be able to get set up is that everything we see here is built upon a no-code configurator, which gives me the ability to set and create any sort of custom forms or fields that will ultimately help with my routing and agent productivity. So in this case, I can go ahead and select a kind of request. And you'll see that there's some drop-down capabilities. And then if needed, we can also associate assets specifically to this particular issue. Now going back to the end user portal, there's a couple of other core components. One is going to be our service catalog. So the service catalog, again, this is the straight out of the box service catalog, but it's very easy to understand and has a really strong e-commerce like look and feel, which gives us the ability to provide value immediately. And it also is completely configurable through a no-code configurator. So everything you see here can be changed. And because of that, we do have the ability to get very robust with our capabilities within the service catalog. So we're not just limited to, say, standard IT items like getting a new piece of software, requesting a new computer, but we can also include things like car rentals, booking flights, accommodations, backup, and full employee onboarding and offboarding capabilities as well. So it really is a robust service catalog that can be created and set up in any way you might want, and also has a full permissioning layer on top of it as well. So if your educators need one set of service catalog items versus your students needing another set, you can completely separate and segregate those two service catalog items or versions. Now going back to the end user portal here, there's a couple other core components that we have. So we do have approval requests that can all be listed and gone through. We also send out approval requests via email. And we have a full employee onboarding capability. So if you are hiring new educators or new facilities managers, we do have the ability to get all of this set up in a nice and easy fashion so that whoever has the right permissions can go in and actually create a new employee onboarding request where we can then pull and configure specific service catalog items to make sure that this employee is set up for day one. Now, what's important around the service catalog is that there is a lot of logic built in, which makes it so that we're able to really create service catalog components that can then be distributed effectively. So an ID badge can be distributed directly to, say, the facilities team, or an email setup can then be distributed directly to the network team to get that set up. And then the last component we'll show you on the end user portal here is going to be the seamless integration with Freshchat. So here, with a little click of the button, I now have my full chat window open, where I'm able to configure and set up any sort of bots as part of my process so that we can A, provide deflection capabilities, and B, make sure that we're able to route any sort of requests to the right agent or the right types of agents, where we then do have full routing on the back end to make sure that we are able to handle loads and not overwhelm any sort of agent. And then lastly, we also do have complete integration with the knowledge base. So we can always go in and help with self-service through the knowledge base articles on the bottom here as well. So with that, that's our end user portal. And now what I'm going to jump over to is our agent side of things. Let me click over. And so now once an agent is into their Freshservice dashboard, we are given a very nice and easy to understand and easy to view dashboard. So this is where a supervisor could really get that understanding of what's going on within their service desk. We do have the ability to send out announcements as well, so that you can send out any sort of urgent announcement to the broader organization, or we can limit these announcements based on specific groups or specific individuals. So say the network's going to be down for a few hours, it's a great opportunity to use the announcement feature to send out an email, because they might not be able to access the service desk or various components, and we want to be able to inform anyone about that. Now from the dashboard, let me orient you to Freshservice as a whole. So there's a couple core components. So one is that since this is fully SaaS-based, you're going to be on the latest version. And with that, we give you some notifications about that. And sometimes it does take time for a little bit of a rollout, but eventually we do make sure that everyone's on the consistent level. So as we do add additional capabilities or integrate new products in, you do get access to those. Then on the left side here, we have all of our various modules. So we're going to be taking a look at some of these modules in just a second, but I do want to point out the seamless integration with the various channels. So with this little cube here, we can jump directly into Freshchat and begin our conversation with any one of the students that might have come in. And because of the login capabilities, we do have a full master customer record logic on top of all of this. So we can see in this case who Frank is. And we can always click in on Frank to see any number of tickets that Frank might have put in, or some user details. So we can really get that understanding of who's creating these sorts of incident requests or service requests within chat. And then of course, we also have those within the ticket view itself. So we'll jump into that for just a second. So here we have that ticket view that I just mentioned, where we get a nice, easy to understand, easy to look at, easy to read layer on, in this case, our service requests, but we do have the ability to change the view based upon the filtering on the right side here. And if I do select a view that I haven't had before, I'm able to save any of these as well. And so as part of the ticketing, this is where a lot of time is spent. We do have a very simple and easy to get started on response capability. So I can just come in here and click on reply. And now I'm given a very email-like interface. This really helps with that time to value and getting new agents stood up so that they're able to actually be effective and communicate appropriately with our end users. We also do have the solutions, which can pull from our knowledge base, as well as canned responses that can help with any simple queries that are coming in. So in this case, I just put one in specifically to our Wi-Fi issue. And then lastly, let's take a look on the right side here, where we get all the information about the particular ticket. So we have our status, priority due date, the requester info, and then the apps where we can leverage the marketplace or any custom app to extend the platform. So if we do need to drop in a Zoom link, we can generate a Zoom link. If I was signed in, that would happen. And the same idea and view is going to be present for our service requests as well, where we can always jump in and be able to assign out an asset and really make sure that we're providing the right sort of benefit to our end users that way. And so that transitions us next into the asset module, where we do have full CMDB capabilities. This is something that's been highly driven, or this is something that's become a really high need across the board as people are working from home, as we're getting into this new kind of world that we're living in, where people are now more comfortable assigning out assets, but we do need that management layer on top. And so we do have full asset management with inventory, software contracts, and purchase orders. This allows us to have a full asset lifecycle, especially with some of that orchestration that Brad mentioned, and I'll be able to show you in just a second. We can say get a purchase order from one system, bring it into Freshservice, and then go through the entire process of the purchase order, approvals, all the way through to receiving the assets, and then ultimately assigning them out, and then all the way through to decommissioning the assets themselves. The next module is our project management. So this is a full baked in project management component. It really allows any project management needs to be fulfilled and then mapped back in to any of the potential issues, problems, or changes that could have pushed all the way through to a particular project. We do have full analytics so that you are able to really understand what's going on within the service desk. We give you a number of reports out of the box, which we call our curated reports. There's about a dozen of these that we do give you, so that if you do just pull in data or want to get started without having to think about reports, you can do that yourself. And then lastly, we have our admin. So our admin is going to be the most important component, where we can get set up. And as Brad was nice enough to point out, you can get set up very easily, but most importantly, you can make the changes you want after the fact. And just to show you how simple that is, we can go into our form fields here. And using the no-code technology, we can simply drag and drop any field we might want. So in this case, we have a number field. We'll just call this one untitled for the sake of time. And I can hit done. And now I have a new field that's part of A, my tickets, and B, something that I can use as part of any sort of workflow or automation that I want to set up. And so for the last piece of the admin here, we're going to go into our workflow automator. And so our workflow automator, I find to be one of the most compelling components, because it really does bring you all the capabilities that you're going to need without any sort of software engineering support. And so in this case, we can take a look at, say, category-based incident routing and really show you how simple this is to get set up. This is actually one that we give you out of the box. I'll just click on edit here so that we can see how easy it is to configure. So everything we have is based upon an event condition action process. So in this case, we have a very simple event. Incident is created. Then we're looking at our conditions. So is the category hardware, is the category software? And we can actually dive in here and see how specific we can get for this particular condition. So in this case, I'm looking for a ticket category field hardware, but then I can even drop that down to look at a specific kind of hardware, or I can change it to any value. Then we can also make actions based upon, say, the requester or who the department head is. And by just clicking on new condition, I can then see that I have access to a number of fields that we can leverage as part of this workflow automator. Now, one way that we can really extend the platform is by taking the actions on the workflow automator itself. So here, based upon a category coming in as hardware, I can assign this out. I can set the urgency, set the impact, and send an email out to any particular group. I can also come in and add additional actions. So you can see there's a ton of actions we have here. But one of the most important when we do think about expanding the platform is triggering a webhook. And so in this case, we're able to very quickly create actions that are going to happen in some other system. Can require authentication, so we put it in our API key, and then I can go about simple selection for the content that we want to send in that payload. And just by clicking done here, let's see if I've selected all the mandatory parts. Oh, I didn't put it in a callback URL, but that's okay. So by just selecting done here, we can now change the entire workflow automator to make sure that it's performing the actions that you want. And don't worry, there is a full sandbox where you can test all of this as well. And so the same idea behind the workflow automator is also going to be present when we're thinking about orchestration. So we do have a number of apps that can be included here as well. And this will then give us the ability to expand a bit more. So we have, in this case, a secondary event that's going to take place. And we can always create various orchestration components around this. So with that, that was a very quick and high-level view of Freshservice. If you do want a more detailed demo, always happy to provide that as well. And we really do have, full management and full capabilities within the admin that we are able to set up. So everything from that employee onboarding I talked about, to audit log, service catalog, and our various support channels. So with that, I will pass it back over. And now we'll get into the Q&A. So I do see that there's one question in here for Brad by Zach. So the question is, would you please talk more on how you use Freshservice on an academic side? We're currently using Freshdesk for the school admin like registrar, finance, and IT, but not sure if it could help on the academic side.
Sure. For us, we don't have Freshdesk, so they're not using a lot of the other capabilities of the ITSM solution. So in that case, they're not going to be doing change management and those kind of pieces. But since we already had licensed Freshservice, it was easy for us to just bring them into our instance, set them as a group, and then limit their rights so that they can only see those tickets, those things in that group. However, the advantage of having it there is that when it transforms from it's not working because it ends up being a usage issue to, there is actually a problem. It's really easy for them to then pass it along to us to go, okay, well, that they're missing an attribute on their account, so we need to fix that, or vice versa. So, it's, seemingly at a lot of institutions, IT help desks have become the universal help desk for any and every question. ever posed about anything at the university. So much easier for us to pass along. Oh, I'm having trouble with, in this case, EAB Navigate. It's not registering. Oh, actually, it's not a technical issue. This becomes a usage issue. Those functional folks, will be able to walk through that student and, take care of registration issues in that system. We don't actually even have access to it. We're not administrators in it. We don't have, other than we log in with our own accounts, we don't have any capability of doing any of that work for them. So for us, it's really easy then to pass that ticket along to them, since they're in the same instance, and go, and add a note. And so then we can pass it, back and forth without having to log into multiple systems and multiple things. So, if your folks are certainly happy with Freshdesk, there's really nice things. And my understanding that Freshworks is, slowly, making them, feature parity in terms of same code base, but so that the interfaces look the same. But of course, Freshservice expands what is available. So for us, it was just easier to have them in a single instance rather than having to go out, set up or purchase Freshdesk, then get it established for them, do all of that work, whereas we maintain, it for us. So I think it really will depend on your institution and the particular needs.
Yeah, good answer, Brad. And just to echo that, oftentimes we do have higher education customers of ours that are using both systems, and it's really just, we got to make sure, and kind of that's what I'm here for, is to solution the right solution. And sometimes that does mean Freshdesk and Freshservice, or one or the other. So thank you, Brad. I believe someone else raised their hand at some point. Unfortunately, I don't remember who. But if there's another question, please feel free.
So I'll go ahead with the other questions that were.
So here, there's another question just came through.
Oh, okay.
Brad, I don't know if you can see it, but the question is, I'm acutely aware that there are program complexities that cannot be resolved in 1 hour. What aspects can be scaffolded, at least initially? So I think, I can probably answer that one. So a lot of what I showed you today is straight out of the box. So there really is that quick time to value where you're able to, get set up very, very easily. And then it's just a matter of configuring the system in order to meet your needs, whether that's setting up the right permissions, the right agent groups, or the right, say, knowledge-based content in order to make sure that you have that baseline to then build off of. Great. Are there any other questions?
So there's another question for Brad. The question is, what made Freshservice appealing, and ultimately what drove you to go with Freshservice?
Yeah, sure. Some of the things I already talked about in terms of we wanted a hosted or software as a service application. That was just a requirement for us. So, that was an easy sell. In terms of when we compared it to the other solutions, it was easier to use with a better interface. And so there were some products that we liked the functionality, but they looked like they had been built by engineers in the 1990s. We wanted something that was appealing. On our side, that doesn't really matter, but certainly for clients, I wanted a product that was easy for them to use and navigate, even though we know that many of them don't directly use the portal, but we certainly want to encourage that behavior. So, the knowledge base, and certainly, the knowledge base got rewritten during the time that we were have been using the product and improved immeasurably. And so, now we have a few hundred articles out there, and it's super easy in terms of the interface to be able to integrate the solutions. We get a lot of mileage out of for the agents, like canned replies, for instance. So, inevitably password resets, or maybe if there's a particular issue going on, it's really easy for us to be able to go ahead, create a canned reply so that we're being consistent. And then also the nice thing is since it's a full ITSM, we can, the help desk staff can create a problem, associate all of the tickets with that problem. And then when they go ahead and close that problem, it'll actually close and reply to all of those incidents, making it super easy. So when there's an Office 365 outage, like there was earlier this week, super easy for us to, we sometimes get dozens, if not hundreds of tickets generated for exactly the same thing. So rather than try to merge them all, we can just associate them with the problem, close it, and then there's a workflow that goes ahead and takes care of that. So we could make it even more complex if we needed to in terms of our response. But that was really very appealing, and why we ended up choosing it. The other piece was at the time we had been BombGuard customers, and so it was really easy to even in our trial set up the integration to BombGuard. We've since moved to Splashtop. And again, that was super easy to go ahead and integrate. And then when we did go out to look at alternatives, we looked at only those that integrated Freshservice because we wanted that ability, and that just made it a lot easier for our staff to take care of. So I think those are all things that certainly from my perspective, but then also from the staff, just being able to how they manage the tickets, and the information that was displayed. The nice thing is that when we have suggested improvements, either they've actually already been working on them, or in some cases they're like, yep, that's a good idea, and we'll include it on the roadmap. So as an example, task management was not particularly very good in terms of you could create tasks, but for individual agents to see their tasks, the visibility wasn't very high. Freshservice recognized that, and now that there's actually a dedicated button so that agents, when they log in, can go ahead, in the upper right, select, just click on a button, and it shows actually all of the tasks that are going. So greater visibility also for management staff to be able to look at, what tasks are ongoing, whereas, previously in the interface, it was pretty buried and difficult for them to identify. So those are all kind of different things that when we looked at, were very appealing. And then finally was we could get it up and running, and we did in a month in terms of making our transition, which compared to just about every other solution, particularly ones like ServiceNow, good luck. We were able to get it running, get it transitioned, and get people using it very, very, very quickly. And that was an important and quick win for me, coming in as the new CIO, as well as to get us away from that legacy environment and really kind of set a new stage for what we needed to do in servicing the campus. And we do an annual survey of all of our faculty, staff, and students, and I can say that from my initial survey when I got here to every spring when I run it, we've consistently gotten improved. We've improved in terms of the perception of the help desk as well as our support staff, and certainly Freshservice plays a part in that.
Great. Thanks so much, Brad. And so with that, I think we are going to be wrapping up this webinar. Thank you everyone for joining.